Today I would like to show you the Warhammer Old World box with the Grand Cathay battalion. Warhammer Official was kind enough to send this to me a little bit up front, and I managed to paint them and land on the community page, which is a premiere for me. It felt quite special. I don't know why, like I'm painting the stuff for them for free to use it as advertising. Still, seeing yourself on the Warhammer page, it feels special and it felt super nice. So I was very humbled to see my stuff on there. Today I would like to show you what I painted. I got the box and my approach was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to see a lot of the cannons since it's obviously the coolest model. How could I paint it in a way that is maybe a little bit outside of the box, maybe something different? That's my general approach to painting. So I would like to show you what I came up with. I know the technique that I've used is like a Japanese technique, and this is kind of Chinese aesthetics and with a Chinese lore background. Still at the same time, it's saying Warhammer and it's fantasy, so I don't really care. I thought it was a cool effect. And especially it's very transferable to other models like a tank or some marble bases, whatever. Also, what is worth mentioning for the cannon I'm about to show you, I also did a full Patreon tutorial with all the step-by-steps. So it's basically like a 2-in-1 tutorial with the marble or the porcelain, the glass cannon, with a little gold in the cracks, and the oxidation effect for the second half of the model, like the metal parts. So yeah. If you are interested in the exact colors and the step-by-steps, that's all on my Patreon. It's going to be linked below. I would appreciate any support, but if not, that's absolutely no problem. Let's go and have a look at the models. So when I first opened the box, I saw the sprues of the cannon and it was crystal clear for me that I'm going to be painting that model. I had big plans of doing like a little diorama on a round base together with like the cannon crew, but time was quite limited and I had to rush, and I also wanted to paint a second model. So I started with the rider and then went back to the cannon, and obviously the time was not enough to finish the crew, but I will be painting the cannon crew on a Twitch live stream, probably when the video is being dropped. For now, I've decided to show a little bit of the process of how I painted the cannon and show you the final results, the beauty shots of the final results, so you can see both at the same time. And a little fun fact story for the cannon. It was a little bit of an accident, so I'm going to include some footage of the very beginning, like where I'm covering it in cloth, like a very classic marble technique. This is not great for 3D sculpted models. You want the tissue to be super tight to the model, and obviously with a three-dimensional object that's not too easy. So I was taking it off and was removing some of the paint with a toothpick, and then suddenly the idea came to my head. So it was like a happy accident, and I like how it turned out. So I hope the little bit making of helped you and inspired you, and if you want to see more, the rest is on Patreon. Maybe this is also a good time to reflect a little bit on the sculpts of the box. So when I first got the box, I was a little bit skeptical because I feel like the design was a little bit generic to me. Like, oh, we're doing a Asian vibe army now. And I was like, it feels a little bit generic, especially maybe that's me because I don't like the IB Metal style too much with like everything being painted super accurately. But after painting them, and I'll show you also some of the sculpts and the ogres for the cannon crew that I've assembled, they're pretty good models. After painting them, I definitely have a different relationship to them. So I like them more than I thought I would like them on the box art, if that makes sense. Feels a little bit like the scene from Lord of the Rings, like, I don't like half of you more than you deserve. Well, that one. Never mind. End of the story. I think the sculpts are super nice to paint. They're very easy to reinterpret in a different way. So you can do a lot with like Chinese aesthetics and sticking to a very lore confirm world, but it's also very easy to break out of that and go more into a fantasy character
vibrant colors, have them combined with muted tones. They're fantastic for kit bashing. White scars, I'm just saying white scars. For all the 40K fans out there, it's better than I thought it would be. That's my conclusion.
Let's have a look at the second model that I painted. For this, I was very much inspired by the poster of the TV show Shogun. The overall aesthetics and choice of colors was heavily inspiring to me, and I wanted to have like a sunset kind of light situation that is glowing onto the back of a rider. So I was starting with the backdrop and then constantly checking with the rider how the colors match, and with the airbrush kind of blended a little bit between the two. So here you can see the final result. I'm very proud of how it turned out. I'd say it's about 10 hours of work, which is definitely more than the Canon took, which was more of a speed paint approach, and I focused more on the technique and experimenting with something else. So to the rider itself, I will show you also some of the making of and the finished results next to it. And as you can see, I really like painting wet in wet as a very quick sketch to start with. That's my favorite part of every project. So you can see it's not necessarily that you have to start with a single leg and then move on to the next part. For me, when painting atmosphere, it's absolutely important to look at the model as a whole, to have color transitions and color variety within every single part. When it comes to this atmosphere-focused painting, I like to have one source of light, in this case obviously the sun, and then it's transitioning into a darker part, and then I can introduce a second color, in this case this purple tone in the front part of the rider. So I like to think about a scene where a cowboy sits at a fire in the middle of the night, and the backside is like a moon situation, so like a cool tone, and then it transitions into a dark as like a separation between the blue tones and then the warm tones of the fire. That's what I always have in the back of my head when I'm painting stuff like this. So maybe this little story helps you to remind it, and you can maybe try it, test it, and experiment for yourself on your next model. Especially with the wet blending part in the beginning, and then combined with some quick gens from AK or speed paints, whatever you have. After that, it's like a very nice foundation. It's like your light map and your guide. It feels a lot like a worry-free approach, and then you can worry about the tiny details and little dots and adding detail later on. So here's the final result, and I'd love to see anyone who's also trying this atmosphere approach. If you have questions, drop me a line. I'm always happy to help or give input. Hope you liked it. See you soon. And yes, the backside is not painted.
Now you've seen the rider and the Canon. I hope you enjoyed it. That was it for today. I mainly wanted to show a little bit of the process and behind the scenes, a little bit my, let's say, approach to painting the minis, maybe giving you some inspiration on how to paint yours, and give you the teaser or trailer for the tutorial on Patreon. That's where I do most of my work and most of my tutorials. So appreciate any support. Hope you liked it. Hope you learned something. And now on to some painting, and see you next time. Chewy's out. That was horrible. Better.